presentation by Dr. Ziad Dalik all the way from Ottawa on pandemic situation and Islamic viewpoint. And the next 15, 20 minutes, we will recognize about 7 hardworking individuals that were involved and engaged in this mosque prior to even purchase of this masjid. Why? We want to acknowledge the contributions of the pioneers. Year after year, once a year, we will do that recognition so we don't forget the hard work these brothers and sisters have put in. So with these few words, Dr. Manji. Dr. Manji is a specialist in Children's Hospital, and you will hear from him. I left the floor open to him, but I said anything regarding pandemic would be fine.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah, Karen, for the invitation, and I apologize, it's rather informal for me. I'm just learning about Masjid Al-Salaam, and I'm actually quite impressed, as Brother Yassin was saying, with the engagement that the community has. My practice background, I am an orthopedic surgeon, so I basically deal with all sort of issues with bones, joints, muscles. I see one brother came in with an air cast boot. Inshallah, he can get better soon. So I deal with a lot of arthritic issues, but then I focused my specialty at the Children's Hospital, and I primarily deal with children with spine issues. You know, I think in our community there's a number of ailments that can be prevented in some way, shape, or form. Two things that really come into mind are diabetes, heart conditions. I think many of our elderly are having some issues with either what they call angina, where you have chest pain, or you've had a minor heart attack. I'm sure the majority of us, if we checked our blood sugars right now, they'd probably not be at the ideal state. And I also think bone health is really important, especially in our women folk. A lot of them, as they age, their bone health is really subsequently declining. And if they have falls, they can easily get fractures, which are broken bones, and they're very challenging to deal with, and you have ailments in terms of how you're mobilizing. You might need a walker, and unfortunately, as we age, people feel that they're losing their independence. So having an engaging community where you can recognize some of these preventable items, learn how to maybe change even your environment to help keep our elderly safe, I think is going to be very, very important, because the hospital is not an ideal area or option for people to be admitted to, but if you can do a lot of preventative measures, I think that would be important. You know, I love the word here that says followed by a healthy lunch and dhuhr salat. So I'm going to be impressed about the healthy lunch option, because I think in our communities the fooding is very, I mean, it's just part and parcel with diabetic issues as well as health issues in terms of your heart. My question to maybe, the brothers and sisters is, do people feel that they're engaged in a point where they're actually doing some sort of minimum activity, at least daily or weekly? I mean, are you guys at least going out for walks with one another, or you're trying to do that, or is it when it gets a little cold, everybody's just inside and they feel that that's the best place to go? Because I think it's really, really important that, subhanAllah, we come to the masjid, etc., but we also move around as much as you can. For people in sort of the third or fourth decade of life, there are certain activities that you can do that can increase your bone health. At this stage, doing some aggressive activity might be challenging, but even if you went for walks around the community, if you can do laps right now, that's really, really important as well. And if you can challenge yourself with a little bit of an upgrade or a hill, that will be very important as well, because it's all about maintaining your stamina and your bone health. If you do have a fall and you break a bone, it becomes tricky and challenging to treat that, as you age. And so I think if anything we can do to try and prevent that, that's going to be really, really cautious. The other issue, the low-hanging fruit, is really diet. I think diet is crucial. I see it in my parents, they're still pretty adamant about what they want in terms of the meals, and it's hard to understand or appreciate that, but things like diabetes can be very, very challenging to control, and the impact it can have is extremely difficult. I mean, it can affect almost every organ in your body, your kidneys, your eyes, your heart, you name it, it can really affect it. So it's really crucial that you try and do that. Do most brothers and sisters in the audience, do you guys at least get a yearly check from your GP, or is it something you initiate? Yeah, it's important to do that. At your age and stage, at least if you're over the 5th to 6th decade of your life, you should get an annual physical checkup with your family physician, and that will be a head to toe. They'll do some blood work on you, et cetera, and then they can kind of manage things. You know, I also think it's important, you know, if you're on a lot of medications, that, you know, we don't sort of translate that where, you know, if one brother's got a headache, you know, you as a community member have the resource for them to say, hey, you know, my doctor put me on this, try this at home or something like that. That can be brutally dangerous because we don't know, you know, what else they're on and whatnot, et cetera, so you can have a mix and match. But I think if you do have an issue, certainly for me, I'd love to feel that, you know, you can have access to me or my email or my phone number if you need some help or some guidance in any ailments that are occurring in you. I know I treat children's, but obviously I know my adult colleagues, and if there's some way that I can be of service, I'd be more than happy to be available. I am, again, focusing on children's. I do work at the Children's Hospital. I'm one of the 2 guys that basically do pediatric spine in the province, so alhamdulillah, it's a good practice. I enjoy it. I really I feel I'm blessed in what I do, but if I can contribute to the community in any way, please let me know. And if there's questions about, you know, things that sometimes it's challenging, you'll go see your doctor and they might put you on medication and you leave and you'd see them in like a minute and you're not sure what's going on. If I can, you know, be a bridge for a knowledge gap that's there, and if you had some way of you wanting me to kind of look over things or connect with them to just smooth things over to help you kind of understand possibly some ailments you might having and what to do for that, I'd be more than happy to help out. So please let me know. And if I'm ever invited again to speak, I promise to have a PowerPoint and I can kind of show you other things as well. But I'm really, really sorry, but I was just told it was going to be a gathering in a circle and we just all kind of chat. So I'm happy to entertain any questions if anybody has. But if you don't, I'm happy to, you know, talk to anybody one-on-one if you like. Sure. Yeah, the pandemic or the COVID, obviously that's, you know, that's the 2020 year to live on through history, of course. So the challenge, you know, obviously, you know, I mean, it is real. I think we all, as Muslims and as individuals, really need to respect that, you know, COVID is a real thing. I really respect the masjid and the janazah that occurred here and the janazah that occurred for my sister a few weeks ago through this masjid. Really respected that, and I think that's number one, is that we really need to understand and believe that and assume that it is real. It's not something that, you know, whatever you hear in the media and people are trying to take this beyond. So I think we, as Muslims, also have to own that and provide some sort of leadership, either through the leadership of the masjid and at the community level, to make sure that we're on the same page. It is a scary thing, of course, and I think the biggest scary thing is the knowledge gap. It is, unfortunately, an ailment where, you know, physicians, we don't understand it. We don't even understand the symptoms right now in children. But if it is a flu-like symptoms that any of us have, you know, you've got to report it and you've got to get in there. Right now, the numbers are creeping up, and there's 2 things there. One is we're doing a comparator, so it's numbers creeping up now as compared to, say, May, June, July, but the challenge there is there's more people being tested now, so it's really hard to say that that's an absolute, you know, going up, and that's the reason, or whatever reason there is that it's going up. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So if you don't test anybody, they may have COVID, and then you test a whole bunch of people and you say they have COVID, and then you say, well, these numbers are higher. It's not really like that. You probably didn't test everybody who had it in the past. The thing right now is how bad it can be depending on who gets it. And for the elderly, unfortunately, just because your reserve can be a little bit dampened in terms of fighting a flu or a cough or a cold or something, with COVID, you know, it can overwhelm your system. So it's really important, especially if you're immunocompromised, if you have diabetes or any other conditions, you know, keep your distance, wear your mask, you know, do exactly what they're doing. But it is, unfortunately, a real thing. The numbers are creeping a little bit. But alhamdulillah, I think the death rates have kind of, you know, haven't been as dramatic as they were. You know, at our institution, we've had literally, alhamdulillah, just 1 case at Children's, but the child had a pneumonia, it tested positive for COVID and has done better. The other institutions like Vancouver General, Royal Columbian, Fraser Health, all those other hospitals, their ICUs have, alhamdulillah, not been overwhelmed with COVID, and I think it's because communities like this have respected the fact that, you know, it is a virus that transmits really quickly. It transmits, obviously, without knowledge, so you don't know if you've got it, and by that time somebody else, et cetera. So it's really important just to kind of understand that. And it's not trying to restrict people, it's just getting a handle on who has it so that you can quarantine, you're done, and then off you go. So I think so I think it's important to recognize that. And not to be scared about it, right? We all want to work together and get through this together, inshallah. Yeah. Yes, sister. Good question. I think in this age group, the flu shot is important, absolutely. And I would say I would encourage it. You may get some flu-like symptoms after the shot, so don't be scared that, oh geez, I've got COVID or something, but I think it is important to get that shot, especially at your age and stage, inshallah. So the flu shot, regardless in the environment of COVID or not, I think on an annual basis, and it's something maybe, I don't know if the leadership wants to consider, where we try and organize, a flu shot clinic like within the hospital or the community, just to make it easier access for people, as opposed to thinking, oh, I've got to take time off, my doctor won't be there, et cetera, and just have a little clinic run here and off we go. So we can look at that option if that helps out, but I think it's important. It's a very good question. Yes, please. Yes, well, that's a really good question. So metformin, and I think that's the challenge, and I think that's why I like surgery more than I do sort of internal medicine, because with every drug you have some side effects, and it's a balance between that, right? What's the risk-benefit ratio? Metformin is a good diabetic medication. I mean, it does control your blood sugar, because it's a sort of catch-20. If your kidney function is declining, and you'll be able to tell that with some blood work and other things, then there are other options apart from metformin that can be introduced. But the other thing is that it may not be the metformin, but unfortunately the diabetes itself. So the diabetes can also influence and have an impact on the kidneys. But if your sugars are pretty darn good, your H1C has been pretty level, and there's still some hit on your kidneys, then you're right, you have to look at that metformin and look at other options. So there's, alhamdulillah, lots of other anti-diabetic medications out there that will control your sugar. But metformin, in terms of the risk profile, is probably the best one. But if it is influence your kidneys, yeah, you should do that. And if your family physician, if it's outside their realm, you have the option of getting referred to an endocrinologist. So somebody that will specifically look at diabetes for you. So don't feel, it's just what the GP says and that's it. You can definitely be referred to an endocrinologist to help with that. Yes, please.
We are hearing very conflicting reports on the vaccine that will be made available to everybody in North America and in the world. And we haven't been really trying to see whether it's safe or not safe. What's your opinion on that? Because the only question, you read stuff on the internet or reports that come through, and you read apprehensive whether you take it or not take it, and the government are of course going to make it free so that you do take it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great, that's a good question, brother. We're nowhere near that. And I would caution anybody, if you read it through the media, any media portal that tells you a vaccine is available. Vaccines, the development of vaccine takes a very long time. Now, obviously, historically, it's been a money factor. The more you pump money in, the more you're able to move research at bounds and leaps. For example, HIV. I mean, they've made it almost as a curative disease now because of the antivirals that came out. But that was really money pumped in by certain donors and people that were focused on that disease process. And COVID is obviously the buzzword right now. Are we anywhere? We're nowhere near it. And this is just, unfortunately, to try and dampen people's anxiety to say, when is this going to go away? Well, we're working on a vaccine, but I would caution, if it's truly free, where that sort of methodology comes from, right? Unless it's in a published peer-reviewed paper like New England Journal or JAMA or something like that, et cetera. And that's going to take still, in my opinion, it's going to take a while. It'll probably take a few years. I don't think it's around the corner, and every February, everybody after the flu shot is going to get a vaccine for COVID. It's still way out there because the knowledge on the disease process is still lacking. So everything you're reading right now, unfortunately, is just media sensation. Anything else? Because I think my time is up. Please. Sure. One's your diet. I think number one is, maintain a healthy diet, maybe starting with this lunch today. The other is activity. I think it's really, really important. I just met a brother, mashallah, who's biked here from North Van. That's super outstanding. In fact, I felt embarrassed. I'm like, oh my gosh, you biked here from North Van? I took my car. So, my father has always had a rule that, in this society, your car or your legs, you can't do without a car. And I'm like, geez, I got to change that thought process and that, methodology now. I'm not saying you have to go out and do a bike ride from North Van to here right away, but I think the walking is really important. Impact activities like running, skipping, I'd probably dampen that and in fact, try something less impactful. Like bike riding is outstanding. Swimming is another really important exercise and I think that gives you good stamina. It's not too hard on your bones. It's not too hard on your joints either, right? So the arthritic process will be down. So for me, I think those two things and I think an annual visit to your GP just to make sure that there's things that are not going on. A lot of times you might get really bad headaches and you're not sure and you're worried and whatnot, etc. And unfortunately, your blood pressure just might be rising up. And the only way you'll know that is if you get that checked from your GP, and then they can do things. They're not just going to jump on medication, but they might say, hey, listen, exercise, try and avoid some of these foods you're having, try increasing your water intake, etc. And you'd be surprised how well that does, right? So there'll be a lot of other things that are going on. So those would be my three things to summarize. Please. Yes. Drinking what though? I guess it depends. Alcohol never helps. I would say absolutely not. In any way, shape, or form. I would say even in medicine, if we get a patient that is admitted and they've got an alcohol history, it's not a good thing. It will dampen everything. Garlic. I think anything in good quantity would be good for you. I don't know any challenges with having garlic. From a medical point of view, I can't condone it to say, yeah, absolutely, everybody's got to have a piece of garlic every day. But my father would say, yeah, absolutely, have a clove of garlic and it's going to keep the doctor away. So, but anything with those natural vitamins and minerals, fruits, veggies, garlic, if you want, ginger, etc. I think that would be, I can't see that doing bad. But alcohol, I would say very, very bad. Was there a last question in the corner there? No? Maybe? No, you're just stretching. Okay. Yes, sister. Right. So, good question. Swimming right now in the atmosphere of COVID, because the parks are open, it is safe. But the way they do it is they do limit significantly who's going in, and you've got to sign up, and they keep a distance. They actually give you a lane that's basically your own, and somebody else's lane is over there. So it's another good question, but I still would say, if it got out of hand where COVID is come back in what we saw in April and May, things would start to close down. They've done that in Ontario, obviously, and in Toronto and places like that, and in Ottawa and the Peel region, things have had to shut down. We're, alhamdulillah, not there yet in BC, and I haven't had any notification, at least from the public health office, that we need to do that as well. At the hospital, we're working pretty much 100%. We haven't had to move things or change things or close down like we did in April. So I think the way swimming is occurring now, there are places that are open, but just like we're doing here with your distancing and whatnot, et cetera. So I still think it's important to pursue, especially in this environment. I think in the last 6 months, a lot of us have unfortunately had to stay home and stay down. From an individual in their 6th or 7th decade of life, getting back on it will be a lot more difficult if you're home for 6 months and then you try and get out there and go swimming and all that stuff. It becomes really challenging and tricky, right? Children kind of get back to it right away. So I think it's some way, it's really important to try and maintain that some activity. Please. Yeah. Sorry, are you asking what how are the death rates correct with COVID? Is that what you mean? Yeah, so, I mean, the death rate can only be correct, and that's what I was saying, right? If somebody is tested, right? So, you know, just because somebody passes away doesn't mean they had COVID. It could be anything else. I say in BC, at least on this part of the world, the death rates accordingly are real. Like if you hear that, you know, the death rate now has reached 10,000 in Canada because of COVID, then that's pretty real because everybody is tested. So even me, if I walk into the hospital and the first thing they say, you know, do you have these symptoms? I have to turn left and go get tested like right away. So you know, the testing is the number one thing. In other places around the world, it's a little bit tricky because you're right, you know, somebody passes away and they just say it's COVID and they're not being tested or whatnot, et cetera. So there is some inflammatory kind of nature of those death rates. But I would say, you know, my only message would be we should appreciate that the unfortunate COVID time is real, the disease is real, and we should play our part in helping to minimize that, even if it's frustrating, whatnot. SubhanAllah, just at the janazah, the Hafiz Sahib said such nice words. He said, you know, we're a religion and a deen of patience, and I think it's just testing everybody's patience, to be honest with you, right? So, and the media has a way of, you know, really sort of, you know, putting a little stick in your side to kind of get you hyped up again, right? So, good. Jazakallah.
So hopefully that was useful, right guys? So another activity that the mosque, while Brother Anwar is trying to set up the lecture for 15-20 minutes, another important event that we celebrate every year is the Islamic History Month. If you recall, in 2008, Parliament of Canada established October as Islamic History Month. You guys recall? So historically, if you do the research, only 2 mosques in Canada celebrate this. One is this mosque, Masjid Al-Salaam and Education Center, and there is another mosque in Toronto that celebrates that. So this year, October 28th, which is November 28th, which is a Saturday, we will be doing Islamic History Month this week, and it will be restricted again to 50 people. It will be Islamic History Month and fundraising. So Dr. Firoz, would you be available on November 28, please, to do the presentation from medicine, from Islamic perspective, and question and answer period? So if we can accommodate you, if you can accommodate us, I think today's lecture and presentation was exceptional. That's the feedback I'm getting, right? Will you be available, which is Saturday, Dr. Firoz? November 28, which is a Saturday. So 6:30, inshallah? Koya, 6:30 is fine? 6:30? Or 6 o'clock Saturday. One is Maghrib by the time. So shortly after Maghrib, we start, say 6 o'clock, Dr. Firoz. So 6 o'clock, Dr. Firoz, on Saturday. And then if you want to come on November 28th, brothers and sisters, you register. Brother the Mustafa is here. Brother Mustafa, anybody wish to register? Write the names down. And at the same time, I need your pledge at the same time, because you know the cost, you know the situation, the health department came in, so after every salah, we have to sanitize. We have to close the masjid after 10 minutes for 1 hour. We sanitize, and then again salah, again 10 minutes, everybody walks out, another hour of sanitization. The cost is building up. So today I was hoping today I will raise $20,000. I'm a pretty aggressive fundraiser, but I'm not going to do fundraising today. I'm just informing you, seniors who have built this mosque and who has built BCMA, you are here, seniors, and for tax purposes, January 1st we'll be filing, this is October. So if you can donate, Brother Mustafa, later on you can take the pledge form. I'm not going to go over it again. Pledge form, put it on the table, those who can donate. One brother has already donated $1,000, so I'm short $24,000 right now. Inshallah, so you can do that. Brother Anwar, are you ready? So this is a presentation done in Ottawa by Dr. Imam Ziad Dalik. Everybody should know who he is. He was an imam here. And then this will take us for 20 minutes. And after that, we'll do some presentation and acknowledge brothers and sisters who have contributed to this mosque. And then at 1:30, we'll have Maghrib, Dhuhr Salah. And healthy food, we have ordered from outside. You see, we have not offering coffee and tea. There's restrictions. So we're trying to comply, inshallah. Brother Anwar, ready? I can continue talking. It's okay, man? So that's the topic, tawakkul on Allah, benefits in times of calamities. It is for 22 minutes, right, brother?
Yep.
22 minutes. Bear with us, inshallah.
Okay, bear with me. Okay, just sorry. Okay, sorry, bear with me.
توكل على الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قال الله تعالى century Muslim theologian, mystic, Zahid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. قال الله تعالى عز وجل في الكتاب الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين صدق الله العظيم. Respected brothers and sisters, last weekend we have been talking about an important topic that needs to serve as a reminder to us, specifically in the times of calamities such as coronavirus pandemics. We spoke about tawakkul, putting trust, depending on Allah and reliance on Him. We concluded our discussions with the beautiful statement of Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. قال الله تعالى عز وجل في الكتاب الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين صدق الله العظيم. Respected brothers and sisters, last weekend we have been talking about an important topic that needs to serve as a reminder to us, specifically in the times of calamities such as coronavirus pandemics. We spoke about tawakkul, putting trust, depending on Allah and reliance on Him. We concluded our discussions with the beautiful statement of Imam Al-Ghazali a 12th century Muslim theologian, mystic, Zahid, who said, it is quite possible that some people may think of tawakkul as leaving everything to Allah, not doing anything. Not doing anything in their power. Not doing anything with the means that they have to reach the goal. To the point that they even don't work. They do not leave anything for tomorrow in terms of food. They don't run from a snake or don't take medication when they are sick. My brothers and sisters, this is not tawakkul. This is tawakkul. Fatalism, laziness. And it is the source, it finds its source in jahl, total ignorance. We established two important facts during the last week's discussion. First, that downfall of Muslims in the last few centuries was due mostly to misunderstandings of some concepts, important, essential concepts in our deen. One of them is tawakkul. Second fact that we have established during our discussion last week was that tawakkul really means believing in God, putting our trust in Him, putting our effort, using all our abilities, possibilities, means and tools that God Almighty has given to us to reach certain goal. And then after finishing all what we can, having content that God Almighty would take care of this because the outcome is not in our hands, but His. And then hoping that the best would come, inshallah. We then looked into the verses of the Quran and the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when we looked all around these ayat and hadith, when we checked out many of them, we found out that when we have overall understanding of all ayat and hadith, picture of tawakkul is much clearer to us and understanding is much better. We mentioned two examples of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one theoretical and one practical, that really gives us an overview of what tawakkul is really all about. Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Sahaba, as narrated by Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anh, he taught them what really tawakkul is all about. When he told, as narrated by Umar radiyallahu anh, لو أنكم تتوكلون على الله حق توكله لرزقكم كما يرزق الطير. If you were to put your trust in God as you are supposed to, as it was intended for you, as you need to, as God Almighty wants you to, لرزقكم كما يرزق الطير. God Almighty would bring provisions for you. God Almighty would provide risk for you as He provides for the bird. Of course, when we don't look into the next part of the hadith, understanding could be very different. But if we take the following words into consideration, then certainly we do have quite accomplished understanding of tawakkul. يغدو خماسا وتروح بطانا. Prophet, peace be upon him, then told us that yes, in the morning, birds go out to look for rizq with empty stomach and come later on with full stomachs. This is a theoretical part, statement of Prophet, peace be upon him. His practical part deals with the immigration of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ from Mecca to Medina. And before he immigrated, our Prophet, peace be upon him, was involved in quite a lot of planning, strategizing, and many decisions. He did not just take off. He, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, planned strategically his trip. From not telling everybody about it, to picking only a few people to talk to them about his migration, choosing right people with him, choosing the right guide to guide him on the trip, preparing food and camels for the trip, choosing the route. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't take the closest one, but took quite a long one, so that basically he does not allow those who will be chasing him time to find him, opportunity to find him. When all of that has happened, and when they were in the cave, Ghar al-Thawr, when Abu Bakr started panicking, Prophet, peace be upon him, told him, La tahzan, inna Allah ma'ana. Do not worry, God Almighty is with us. As we could see in these examples, our Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us that tawakkul is not just waiting for God Almighty to deal with our affairs. As God Almighty mentioned in Surah Al-Imran 159, فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. And once when you have decided, then put trust in God. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَوَكِّلِينَ. For God Almighty, He loves those who put their trust in God. It is never right, my brothers and sisters, for the believers to shuffle our responsibilities off our shoulders, saying it is qadar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's our fate. So people do not do anything for themselves. On the contrary, Prophet, peace be upon him, told us and taught us, احرص على ما ينفعك. Be keen in looking for that what would benefit you. Don't allow yourself to hold yourself back. Go for it. وَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. In the process, have full trust in God. وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. Don't postpone. Do not procrastinate. Do not be lazy, as our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us. To this end, there is no difference between a pious or non-pious person. There is no difference between those who pray or don't pray, between those who are sinners or those who are pure. The rule of creation is the same for everyone. One who follows them, they would find some comfort. Those who don't follow them certainly would deal with some of the consequences. To avoid these consequences, it is very much important that we know some of pillars or conditions of tawakkul. Because if we know these, they would direct us to the right passage, right direction, and help us to design our goals properly. First of these pillars is to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to know that He is creator, He is wali, that He is al-Razaq, He is al-Aziz. When we know some of these qualities, it would bring us tranquility and peace. And more we know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, more we would have reliance on Him. And more reliance on Him we have, more content we have in our hearts. Second important pillar is that every matter has means in order for that matter to be materialized. Unfortunately, some people think that tawakkul means waiting on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do everything for us, as we stated, and that's not reality of tawakkul. Number 3, in the process, we must always have full reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wasta'in billah. Wasta'in billah. To have reliance on Him that God Almighty would help us. Number 4, entrust all matters to Him, just as a small baby entrusts all matters to the parents. We know when we play with our kids and when we throw them up, they are all smiling, they are happy, because they trust us. Imagine if they would fall once, they will not trust us later on. But God Almighty, alhamdulillah, has always held us. God Almighty has always guided us. God Almighty does not disappoint us, because He is the Creator, subhanallah. When we then read through all ayat and hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we do find out that there are 2 qualities that are mentioned about mutawakkil, one who relies on Allah. One is that such a person puts effort in seeking means and ways of achieving goals. Such a person puts an effort in seeking means and ways to achieve the goal. And number 2, such a person has trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has full control and outcomes are in His hands. When we know these conditions, it is very much then important for us to know what do we get from having tawakkul in our lives. What are some of the benefits? And actually, more we know about benefits, there is a big possibility that we'll put more effort into tawakkul. Adopting this belief and practice of tawakkul has indeed some interesting benefits, especially at the time of calamities, when people have anxiety, stress that produces depression, as we find out in these moments of coronavirus pandemic. Here are some of these benefits that certainly could inspire us to have more tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and putting more effort into achieving our goals, inshallah. First benefit of tawakkul is realization of our connection with a very powerful ally, God Almighty. Knowing that God Almighty is behind us certainly brings comfort into our lives. Allahu waliyyu alladhina amanu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wali of those who believe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is protector of those who believe. He's a guardian of those who believe. The mere idea that Allah is our ally brings that calming feeling of tranquility into our hearts. Second benefit is when we put our trust in God, we become genuinely aware of realities of our own abilities. We know what is the span of our influence and where. We know that it is only present. This knowledge allows us to embrace the outcomes without fear. We really do not know what could happen in the future and what future holds for us, but we know for sure that we can do something today. The present is our chance. Third beautiful benefit of tawakkul is sense of knowledge that our responsibility is limited, and it is also a comforting feeling, because God Almighty told us لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. He, God Almighty, would not overburden us with something that we will not be able to carry, tolerate. Fourth beautiful benefit is that God Almighty loves us. And when God Almighty loves us, it is a quiet indication that we are very near to Him. فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَوَكِّلِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those people when they decide, put trust in God. When they decide, put trust in God, God Almighty loves them. Tawakkul certainly brings many other benefits, but one of the most important benefits, and specifically in the context of today's environment where many nationally and globally are under depression, it is benefit where tawakkul relieves unnecessary tension, stress, anxiety, worries. If we believe that the outcome of all our activities is in the hands of God, certainly we will be much more content. Some early scholars have defined tawakkul to mean rida, contentment. So my brothers and sisters in Islam, proper understanding of tawakkul is then to have strong belief in the Creator and tawakkul before and in the process of action, and contentment with outcomes after the action. Let us inshallah sum it up and guide us into proper understanding of tawakkul in the current situation where many of us are asking questions about coronavirus and what to do. Have faith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not leave us, because God Almighty is God of love. Do all what you can, from cleaning your hands, from taking care of social distancing, from covering your mouth and nose when you are sneezing or coughing. Do not be fatalistic, pessimistic. Don't listen to some of these messages. They certainly could bring you into the state of depression. And when we are depressed, certainly our immune system is depressed. Put trust in God and hope that God Almighty would help us in this regard, that God Almighty would never abandon us. وَتُوبُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَاسْتَغْفِرُوا جَمِيعًا فَإِنَّ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ كَانَ يَتُوبُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَيَسْتَغْفِرُهُ فِي الْيَوْمِ 100 مرة. Our Creator, make us of those who will understand tawakkul properly, and make us of those who will put our efforts, and make us of those who would follow guidelines of our professionals, medical professionals, as well as policies by all three levels.
Murtha was the secretary, first secretary of the BCMA, British Communist Muslim. Both of you look young, so we'll give you the pledge form. Benby branch this month. You guys are retired, but that's why I'm taking your names. So, Brother Usman, the foresight for your brothers and sisters were at that time, look at where the association is. 22 branches and chapters all over British Columbia, more than 180 employees. Alhamdulillah, the effort and the foresight you guys had at the time, the fruits are right now. What we have to do is encourage young generation to come in, and this is what we're doing in Benby branch, inshallah. We're asking younger generation, and which is very difficult to get the younger generation to get involved. What are we saying? Come on in, take over. Most of the members are getting senior, over 65, 70, they're here. So if you have got family members, brothers and sisters or sons and daughters, tell them to come and participate, inshallah. So with these few words, once a year what we do is we acknowledge brothers and sisters, those who were here in 1980s and 1990s at this branch level, before the mosque, before this land was even purchased. Those who have contributed a lot towards the community, we will be acknowledging them today. So there are brothers and sisters. You know, when this mosque was done, sisters played second to none role in the development, design, and construction of the mosque. If you go upstairs, when we had the design for the ladies section, we did not ask any men to participate. It was specifically done by the sisters, sitting down separately with the architect. I don't think you will have that approach anywhere in North America or for that matter in the world. Sisters were given equal opportunity to participate. And even when the construction was taking place, when the foundations were done, they were here digging with the spades and shovels, and they were doing their part, selling foods, doing fundraising. Jazakallah khairan, sisters. So hopefully other sisters will follow, and other brothers will follow, inshallah. So with these few words, I'll call upon Sister Noor, who is the acting chairperson. We will acknowledge two sisters, Sister Hazra and Tazul. First, so with Sister Hazra, the good part is husband and wife combination team was here. So that's what we want to do. Sisters, we're going to do first. Hazra, Sister Noor, you can say a few words and invite Sister Hazra and Tazul. Tazul is not here? Sister Hazra is not here? No. So, Sister Tazul Ali, come on in, Sister Tazul Ali. You see, Brother Tahir Ali was also acted as the president of British Columbia Muslim Association. So in the family it is running, you see. And Sister Tazul is the sister of Brother Usman, right? Brother Usman? So it runs in the family, contribution to the community, man. So Sister Tazul, Jazakallah khairan. Thank you very much for all the services. Hopefully you'll continue with your services, inshallah. If you want to say something, Sister Tazul, insist, come on.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the opportunity for doing this. This is rare moments in life that everybody is given the opportunity and we continue to do it. This mosque is our, life. Without this mosque, I don't know the community, where would we be? And especially for sisters, it's an amazing place. We come here, we do our prayers, we socialize, and for the benefit of the brothers, we still have a sisters senior circle that we have established many years ago. And in the beginning, I think some of the brothers joined us, but eventually they kind of faded away. And the sisters are still continuing. It's so important that we make sure that our elders are taken care of. And that's what we are trying to do here in Burnaby. Thank you for this recognition. And I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this.
So one sister is not here, so when I award it to the husband, so the husband will acknowledge it on behalf of the sister at the same time. So the brothers, some of these brothers, it is just an amazing story because I've been involved before the purchase, after the purchase, construction, fundraising, and the brothers that I will speak on behalf, without even preparing myself, I just can speak on their behalf. Brother Mustafa Fauchak. Brother Mustafa. What can I say about this brother? I know he is blunt to the point and tries to upset everybody. Most of the people get to upset, but he's very user-friendly with me. So Brother Mustafa, whenever we needed him, day in, day out, whenever you needed him, when nobody was here, you just found Brother Mustafa. He was there in the construction time, pre-construction time, after construction. Still, he is with us, inshallah. Mustafa, may Allah give you more health, more energy. You contribute to the community, inshallah. Jazakallah for your services. Brother Mustafa, I have to say a few words before I give it, before Brother Dawood, or before I give it to you. We haven't given any award to this brother. But in my opinion, the construction and the technical difficulties when we had problem with digging mud here, we had to go 60 feet, right, Brother Dawood? Yeah. 60 feet, and we had to remove the soil and send it to Alberta, whatever. He came up with the creative ideas. We spoke to the neighbor. We shifted the mud on the other side. It was his idea. And we have to give credit to the neighbor, but he sold the property and moved away. But it was his creative idea, because otherwise the construction would have cost us another 300,000, digging and removing. It was his creative ideas. And you know, when I call brothers, he did plumbing free of charge. Plumbing, construction, he had undertaken. And the brothers that we acknowledge today will also laugh. At times he used to dig, and there would be errors made, and they would have to point back. In the Indian language, khodo bharo, right? But in the end, Dawood Ismail is laughing behind this mask, I think. He was one of them. Brother Azim was another brother. They were here in the weekends, man, digging, doing the plumbing free of charge. We have to acknowledge these brothers and sisters. We have to give them respect. And this is what we are doing today, inshallah. And one of the brothers is Brother Mustafa. Brother Dawood, Brother Mustafa. Let me find out where he is. Brother Mustafa, come. Come here, Brother Mustafa. Brother Mustafa, just say a few words.
Okay, I won't be long. I want to thank everybody else in here. There's way much more people that deserve this than I do, but I'll accept it. And special thanks to Brother Tahir Ali. I spent hours and hours with him in the library. I'm sorry that he's not around as much as he used to be, but my regards. And thanks everybody, whoever is doing work now, way much more than I do or I did or anything else. Thank you.
Okay, the next brother that we have acknowledged is Brother Dawood Ismail. Brother Dawood Ismail acted as the chairperson, president of British Columbia Muslim Association. He was one of those guys that was with Brother Dawood. Working with Brother Dawood is not easy, right? You dig, you make mistake, you pour it again, and you dig. And Dawood can share Brother Dawood Ismail. So you will be taking the awards for you and your wife. It's a husband and wife team. Sister Hazra with Sister Tazul and a number of other sisters. Unconditional, second to none contribution to the community. They were here day in, day out. Sisters, Jazakallah khairan for your effort. I mean, Brother Dawood, you were here, so maybe you can show them. So take this award and just throw some lights, inshallah. We'll finish before 1:30, I promise. Look at that. Look at this. Come, Brother Dawood. Smile. Say a few words. Brother Shafi, get Ahmad Habib Khan. I know he doesn't want to come. Brother Shaf, where is Ahmad Habib Khan? Oh, he's there? Oh, okay.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, brothers, sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just on behalf of my wife, she's extremely sick right now, so she was willing to come, and she's down with the flu, so she cannot come. I'm not feeling 100%, but Brother Dawood enticed me to come. Alhamdulillah, I think there's not much to say. Whatever we have done is for our own self, not for anything else, to make our room for the Akhirah. with the intention that whatever contribution we can make to the community, and this will be our Sadqa Zariyah. With those intentions, people were involved. And there is a long history on how this masjid was established. Even finding a location where the masjid is established today was in itself a huge challenge. And I take my hands off, if I'm not mistaken, to Brother Firozdin's brother, Nizamuddin. He worked extremely hard with the city and few other connections he had in making possible to establish our masjid here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him and grant him Jannat Firdaus. There is so much to talk about here, but first of all, I would like to recognize the contribution that Brother Mustafa has done. When we was homeless, we had no place. We didn't have place to pray. We were praying in Jubilee Hall, Juma Salah only. And Brother Mustafa, with his effort, the Bosnian community gave us their center they were utilizing on 6th Avenue. And that became our office, a place where we were skinning chickens every Friday so we can sell the food and collect money for Juma. And we used to sell it in Richmond Masjid and do all the hard work there. As for the project itself, and Brother Yassin was asking that we were laughing, I remember very distinctly this corner of the building here required a lot of digging. And there were only about 4 of us at the time. Brother Dawood, Brother Yassin was here, Brother Mustafa, myself, Brother David, and late Brother Salim Baksh. And Badka Janif, obviously, he was our chairperson at the time. And I can tell you one thing, this masjid's foundation is very solid. Our drainage system is extremely, extremely solid. The amount of work we are made to do, we will dig one line, and we'll be told to okay, dig from there to here, and we were digging physically. We didn't have any machinery. And later on, when everything was done, we were told, no, we made a mistake. The line should be here, so we were made to dig again. And this didn't happen only once. This part of the building, the other side of the building, all the drain tiles that we put in. So I'm not putting blame on anybody, but the point is that during the foundation stage, everything was done so professionally. And I must recognize the contribution that Brother Dawood Ali has made. Selfless contribution to this masjid over and over again. And I was very privileged to have worked with a very good group of people here. Brother Yasin Taki is here, and so many brothers here, Brother Koya. And we had a very solid team, and we never had any disagreements. Whatever we had, we resolved ourselves. But our ultimate objective was to build a masjid. And we did so many fundraising, we went through so many hardships and all that. And ultimately, the result that we see today here, mashallah, it's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I just want to say all the contribution that the community has done, may Allah accept them, accept their blessings, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them Jannat Firdaus. That's our ultimate dua for them. Jazakallah khair.
You know, the good part of this mosque is not just the construction, but if you look beyond that, the amount of activities this mosque is involved and engaged in, this is what I call this Banibi Mosque is an engaged masjid. We try to get involved and engaged in doing so many things. If you remove COVID-19, every month we used to do something over here. Because of the restrictions, within the limitations, we are still trying to do something. So let me acknowledge the last recipient. 2 brothers that are not here is David Ali, equally, David Ali and, forgot the name of the wife, husband and wife, exceptional contribution. They're not there, but we'll acknowledge them later on. And another brother is Brother Farooq Elaisli. But the last person, and not the least, this brother continues to do the technical aspects of this masjid to date. Even though he was admitted in the hospital, we had the health department coming in, all the restrictions coming in. Even though he was sick in bed, we had to phone him and ask him for advice. He has been there for the last 25 years. Contribution is second to none. I still remember when we were doing construction of high school in Richmond, Brother Daud was there too. His contribution, what can I say, saved thousands of dollars. In 18 months, we delivered that with Brother Ahmed Amir Khan, myself, Brother Daud, and a number of other brothers knocking on the door, doing construction. 18 months, we delivered the construction, plus the accommodation of table, chair, computers, everything was done in 18 months. And this brother's contribution is second to none, Brother Ahmed Amir Khan. Where is Brother Ahmed Amir Khan? I know he's shy, doesn't want to say much, but every day he is here, technical knowledge, he's, I think, building up a binder. So in his absence, whoever takes this, which will be a very challenging job, he's documenting everything, inshallah, regarding this masjid. So, Brother Ahmed Amir Khan. He just came out of the hospital a couple of weeks ago, you should know. I said, what are you doing here? But he's here, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Like everybody says, it doesn't take one person to have a successful community, but the whole community. Some people are up front, some people are one step back, and some people are further back, but still we lean on them and they support us. So we probably were just in front, but there were people who are behind us. Without their support and without their financial help, we wouldn't be standing here. And two things I want to point out. One is, whatever we have done in the past is in front of everybody. You can see it. But what's going to be the future is the thing that we should be concerned about. The maintenance and upkeep of every BCMA premises, not just this masjid, should be done by people who have knowledge about it. And two things, quality and finance has to be in mind when you undertake any project. So people with knowledge, with know-how, and people with contact can do those. And alhamdulillah, I'm saying whoever takes this maintenance work after this has to have that quality to maintain this masjid the way it has been maintained for the last 15 years, and also carry on to who knows how long. So that's one aspect. And second aspect is the unity of the community. I mean, even though we might have differences, we come from different places, different parts of the world, but we have one thing to be united with is our kalima, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. As long as we recite the kalima, we should not have any barriers between us. We all should be inclusive, stand shoulder to shoulder, contribute our share, and take this community, the BC Muslim Association, to the next generation. We look at our children, it's much harder to bring them to the masjid or ask them to pray because they have influence all over the place. And if we do not show the leadership and be sincere to them, if you ask your child to pray and you don't pray, then you're not sincere. So you have to be sincere, and that is the goal of this masjid. This masjid should be full of young people. So this is all I'm going to say. Two things we have to remember is take this masjid to the next level, whoever is in charge, and we have to be united and contribute to this masjid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And thank you again for this.
So the last part is what we're going to do is the packaged food, we will put it on the table. So you can take it upstairs for salah. And they can't eat, I know. We'll put it on the table, and after salah you just can take it home. One clarity that needed, if your sisters are not coming, you'll see the upstairs is locked right now for sisters. What the health department has done, the main mosque and upstairs they have regarded as one, so restrictions to 50. And they have given us certain conditions which we are working on. We will try to finish this hopefully. Inshallah, let's make dua that we do it by Friday so we can open the mosque again. And the last part is the second last part is the October 28th. Again restricted to 50 people. If you wish to come, please register yourself right now. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. That was in my mind, but I forgot. We should not forget one sister, and that is Sister Sadrul. She's not here today, but her contribution, there is no words can express her contribution, not only to this masjid, but to the community at large. So she's not here, unfortunately.